Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War Earthshakers event, where the Earth Giant is added to the game. I hope you guys have been enjoying the holidays. As far as Gems of War, we have a bunch of holiday stuff happening as well. Got the Spirit of Giving event that's going to be going on for the next 2 weeks. We actually have a hiatus on quite a few things. Basically, everything's not happening until next year, is the easiest way to describe it. Next campaign's not till 3 weeks from now. We're getting the new kingdom on the January of the 1st. And yeah, basically everything's delayed till next year, as well as probably fixing PvP to work properly. So that'll also kind of sort itself out after we've had enough event weeks for it. But anyways, let's start getting into all the things. We have a ton of teams, including the PvP teams. We're going over a few of them, or at least the holes of what's missing, once we get over to explaining that. But anyways, let's start all the way from the top and go from the new troop. So, new troop, where you at? I'll go over here. So, as far as the Earth Giant is concerned, good time to stock up on green, brown arcanes. The troop itself, probably not going to get used too often. It stuns the enemy, then deals some heavy splash damage to them. I can see it being okay if you needed a early game, just kind of damage source. Also has a little bit of stun on it. Has a little bit of score reduction. I just don't really see much of a use case for it, though. It's not bad, it's just not good. It's in that weird in-between where it's probably just not going to get that much usage. Unlike some things that came out this week, which going to be rather interesting to see how they pan out. As far as the chest drop people are concerned, given as associated to Stormheim, it's an okay week to be spending them, probably not your best. If we go over to Stormheim over here, the main reason I would say to maybe do it is, gosh, are the battles in Stormheim in PvP very annoying if you lack some of the options. So if we do this, get some base rarity in there. Basically, every single thing that we see here, except for the following, are in the drop table. The penguin is not in drop table. That's from PvP. Actually, I should say Guild War. Oh yeah, speaking of which, Guild War's also got delayed till next year. Like pretty much everything else. But yeah, penguin is from Guild War. The 4 faction troops from Frostfire Keep, obviously from Frostfire Keep. There's at least one other one. There it is. And Strength, the Terror card, is from the Volkey drop table. Everything else that you see here... Oh, and the Celestial Dragon is from the Celestial Gem... or the Celestial Dragon Egg drop table. There we go. So those 4 are not in drop table. Everything else you see here is. So if you're opening event keys, you're looking for one very, very, very specific troop. And that is Mistralis off of Mythics. If you do get one of the other ones, you're probably hoping for Onyx Giant, oddly enough. As pure Stormheim and Giant teams actually are okay with it, based on the lack of other options, especially if you're going more of a skull build. But Mistralis is generally the main thing, even though we have an alternative enchanter as of the most recent mythic that came out through a campaign. This one is still going to be your go-to a lot of times, just because its ability is substantially better in more situations. It deals a bunch of splash damage a very random amount of times, but ideally it'll hit a pretty high number. And then jumbles the board and gains an extra turn. Being able to jump on the board with an automatic extra turn is not too bad. Jump on the board without it, pretty bad. But jump on the board with it, pretty good. So as long as she's not frozen, she ends up getting a lot of value. And even if you are missing some of your turn, she gains a lot of value of pretty much your entire team getting enchanted per turn. And she's probably the main thing you're looking for. For the most part, not really too many good troops here and there. Spam Boulder can be fine, especially under Giant and or Stormheim restrictions. But beyond that, it's mostly just like small utility troops that you're barely ever going to really end up using. So for the most part, I would say it's a pretty skippable event key week, unless you really wanted to try for one of the mythics available. Otherwise, we'd just skip it. Anyways, next thing on our list, let's go over to the event system here. So we have ourselves the invasion event. As far as invasion event, pretty straightforward, just using a new guy. We did get a pretty good synergy weapon and troop for this too, so you could literally just spend 210 gems, use these 2 options, and you're pretty much good to go. That's already your team right there. You simply just use this mace, use this troop, and you're good to go. I went a few times where the combination of both is pretty much just fine. This thing covers none of the same colors, so they don't have any color overlap. Obviously, the invasion troop, as per usual, you kind of just put in first slot and just auto wins. So, yeah, pretty good. It does have double magic, and make sure to use at least 1 copy of it because it does have double points. It doesn't have to be upgraded to get those double points, but you do need it on your team in order to get those double points. So make sure the team has at least 1 of them. Otherwise, you'll be missing out on a ton. It's fairly easy to get. You just have to throw 90 gems on the thing, And if you spend 210, you also get the weapon, which is advised, because for only 120 more, you save yourself from ever needing to get this weapon in the future. And if you lack other options, there's also a good option to run. Just running that with Titan Hero class, so you get the 50% mana start, and you're good to go. Otherwise, battles are pretty much just the same. Oh yeah, for the really early fights, I actually did use a quick kill team. I normally don't actually show these in the video, though I do them on the stream. It's basically whatever you would use on the Thursday class event. It'd be that, just add the invasion troop at the end. Is basically what this team is, which is why I normally don't show it in these videos. However, yeah, it's the same premise. Like when we go show our like the Thursday class event team, is literally this without that. So same premise there, just to quick kill the earlier fights before you actually need the real team, which you end up using the invasion troop just to destroy everything with. Anyways, let's go over some of the unique things we have going on. So we already mentioned the whole campaign being delayed. However, that's not the one I want. However, I will eventually click on the right one. We do have the Spirit of Giving events. So this one is a blue restriction. Luckily, this guy hopefully does not ban you. No, there shouldn't be any reason. Unlike Chris Crinkle last year. So one really funny thing about this troop is he actually summoned every holiday troop we've ever had so far. If I'm not mistaken, Ragnagord, well, I know for sure. Ragnagord was added in 2014. It was the second new troop to ever come in the game through an event. So that's a very ancient one. But yeah, he summons all the holiday ones we've ever had. So Ragnagord, Nutcracker, which I believe was 2020. Tango Bomb, I'm pretty sure was 2021. And obviously Chris Crinkle for the ban miss of last year. But yeah, so he summons basically, or that should be every single holiday one we've ever had up to this point. And just gives a bunch of mana to all other allies. This ability itself, very weak. He'd be considered pretty much pointless and never used again. However, he has a very unique final trait that actually makes it better than the Wish Gem mechanic mythic in some situations. The Fairy Godmother ends up creating a Wish Gem 100% of the time. That is very consistent. The other one, Fairy Godmother, it's a 50% chance, and it's only off of yellows. So not only does there have to be at least one yellow on the board, which, you know, normally there is, but there's some situations where there's not. Not only does there have to be one yellow on the board, but it's also only a 50-50 even when there is a yellow on the board, or even lower if, you know, there is no yellow. Because it's literally 0% chance. Bringing it down just a little bit as far as its overall percentage. But this thing, 100% of the time, Wish Gem. That is very consistent. If you just have a Mass Destroyer, multiple Mass Destroyers on your team, that can also do some damage, you'll be able to go claim that Wish Gem every single time for some value. But yeah, I'm probably going to get him on Wednesday, test him out a bit, but it has a lot of potential. It's basically Fairy Godmother with a better trait, but worse ability, is the way to look at it. So Fairy Godmother is still pretty useful, especially when you need both aspects, the trait and the ability. However, if you're just looking at it purely from traits, it is stronger. And it's way more accessible. Like, Fairy Godmother, of course, is a mythic. And this thing you can get pretty much for free during this event. The way these events work, of course, is that you get 3 battles per day. And if you want to get basically everything of value, just simply throw 50 gems a day and you should be good to go. But you throw an extra 100 on one of the days for 150 total. But beyond that, just throwing 50 a day will get you everything of usefulness. These include the Winter Armor if you didn't get it last year. It's the same one as last year, so if you did get it last year, no point in getting it. However, if you didn't get it last year, yeah, make sure to do so. It's a cosmetic armor. You might not be able to get it again for a whole nother year. Then we have get 1 copy of the troop. This you could get into the future if you don't want to spend on it, but honestly, it's actually pretty usable for one, so I would advise getting at least 1, and you use a blue orb on it to get it maxed. Otherwise, you could buy it twice, but not really that needed. Next, we have ourselves 6 copies of the pet. 5 copies will get it initially maxed, and then 1 additional copy will give you the golden version so that you can later max it. As far as this thing is concerned, it does what all the other ones do. It's just +5 to all of its stats, which, given its ability, is not actually that useful at all, but, you know, for completion's sake, it's still good to get the 2 pets, because he doesn't actually really utilize his stats or his ability at all. It's all his final trait. Like 95% of this troop is his final trait. So, having fight all stats doesn't really do much for him, unfortunately. And then the other thing you would end up getting is 1 Orb of Power. Just because it's the cheapest Orb of Power you can ever get. It's effectively only a couple hundred gems, which is absurdly cheap for an Orb of Power, especially if you're still looking for some of the main objectives you need for it, like Zolgoth, Catharix, and Rage Carandera, any future one that's probably going to be added sometime next year. Anyways, yeah, 1 Winter Armor, 1 of the Holiday Troop, 6 of the pet, 5 to get it maxed, and 1 golden. And you know you have it, enough when you've got at least 1 copy of the golden pet, and then an Orb of Power. Those are the main ones that you'd probably want to go for during the event. Of course, you could go for more, you could go for less, and you don't need to get the armor if you already got it last year. that's the rundown on that. So, next, what do we have? We have ourselves the stuff that we have going on throughout the week. It's Tuesday, which at this point is today. Been a little busy with the holidays, so I haven't actually been able to get this video up on Monday. But I'll try to get it up. Hopefully, actually, it might be delayed next week too. Next Monday's literally Christmas, so unless I get it up very, 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 very early. So we'll see. It might be slightly delayed next week as well. Because it's literally Christmas Day, and the night before is Christmas Eve, so we'll see. But I'll try to get it up in a timely manner. Wednesday, we have ourselves, oh, I forgot what pet's even here. If I had to guess, it is probably one of the giant pets. Because I actually can't see it because of the other things over top of it. Thursday, we have ourselves the Titan class event. Pretty good hero class. Still one of the most well-rounded hero classes in the game. Really nice for a lot of things. And Friday, we have ourselves the, which one were we having Friday? Friday was another invasion event. If I'm not mistaken, it's actually Frostfire Keep again for some reason. But yeah, I believe we're having 2 Frostfire Keep events in the same week. Remember the other week where we had like double the Zol carry one? I believe this was double Frostfire Keep for some reason again. I don't know, maybe they're just doing that with those now. But yeah, I believe we're having double Frostfire Keep. It says right now we're having Frostfire Keep. I believe it's Friday we're also having Frostfire Keep. If nothing else, that makes it pretty convenient. Just run whatever Frostfire Keep teams you're running today on Friday, and you're good to go. And of course, we'll be going over all those teams in a little bit. Anyways, let's go head over to Soulforge. As far as mythics are concerned, probably the most noteworthy thing that we have in Soulforge this week is Wild King. If you've ever been looking for a skull spammer to just upgrade every skull spam team you have, well, here you go. He's basically infinite loop into himself, and even if he fails, he gains so much value, it barely even matters. He enrages all your allies, so even as allies die, they will keep cycling their enrage. So if you hit with first slot with your enrage, then it dies, and then, well, your second slot's enrage, your third slot's enrage, your fourth slot's enrage. So you end up getting a lot of value from him. He's one of those things where if you're looking to not die at all, he's not that good, but if you're just looking to rush damage as quickly as possible against something that likely won't really kill you, but it could still like damage you some, he tends to be pretty good against that. Like Explore 12, for example. Something that you're likely not going to lose to, but you could definitely be substantially damaged by. He's really good in those kind of situations. A little bit sketchy in Guild Wars sometimes, but can score really well if he never misses. Wild Queen's a little bit more consistent in that regard, but they're both kind of set up in a way where they miss. They get a lot of backfiring, and he backfires even more than her. But still, really nice. Nice little mix of yellow and skulls. Ends up getting the enrage, ends up getting attack on all your allies. One of the few attack buff teams that's actually still viable. Most of them aren't, but since he just loops it and gives it enrage and everything else, it actually works out really well. But yeah, if you're ever looking for a good skull spammer, Wild King, pretty nice. I guess Sakarox does earn a mention. While I personally feel like it is very situational, it is still one of the best mana accumulation mythics out there. It covers green, blue, and brown, working really good in those kind of teams. And it gets to double chosen colors, basically the standard giant mechanic. Except you get to choose it whenever you want, which is actually a lot stronger than it sounds. Even though he's more than double the mana cost of a standard troll that does basically the same thing, being able to choose it gives you a lot more flexibility. You're generally choosing it into either green, blue, or brown, so you're still restricted on half the colors in a sense. However, being able to do so, you can just do it on whatever the highest number is, get the most likely chance to extra turn, and then just keep cycling mana. He also gives a bunch of life to all allies, so any kind of team that does have a life boost ratio or just needs to survive a little bit does end up working out pretty good for. And of course, he also has Impervious, which isn't too bad. Final trait, pretty bad, but at least having that Impervious there can end up working out pretty well. But yeah, those are our main two. I would say Wild King's definitely the way to go, though, if you're looking for any one thing to end up crafting this week. So, as far as weapons, unfortunately, not really much. The free one that you would end up getting this week, obviously from the event, probably the main one you want to go for. But aside from that, that being the Enor Mace. But aside from that, but not from Soulforge, get it from the event for 210 gems. Aside from that, not really much to really mention here. I have been using the Doomed Hammer a little bit in the other mode, but it's not really like that needed. And it's Doomed Hammer, so, you know, it's a lot more expensive to upgrade. So I just figured with one of those little Forge Orbs, it's like, it's not that bad. But, I guess if you're looking for something really safe under, like, Stormheim restriction for PvP, which we will be going to in a moment, but if you're looking for, like, a really safe, like, PvP kind of thing, it ends up stealing a bunch of attack and armor. It's a little bit slow, but it's really good at not losing, so it has that going for it, I guess, for that mode, if you're looking for something really safe there. Otherwise, just a bunch of utility stuff that you'd get for upgrading the kingdom. And the kingdom is a little bit locked at the moment, just because of deeds. Like pretty much every kingdom in the game, it is stuck at level 26. There's a lot of blue kingdoms that are already 30 starable. Like, for example, Sword's Edge, Leonis Empire. I feel like there's a third already that I'm forgetting, because for whatever reason, blue is getting so many 30s. And, of course, this one already getting pretty close as well. So, yeah, it has a lot of competition. They're all pretty much equally useless. Not useless, but, you know, equally average in what they end up supplying for getting them up. Anyways, briefly, PvP. Of course, this is the first week that we have of the full new PvP system. However, we probably don't fully get to see how this PvP system works until early next year. I say this because a lot of things with the system is still initializing, so we won't really know what the full experience will be pretty much until then, especially until everyone kind of gets into diamond rank as well. Or, you know, not everyone, but, you know, as people move up to diamond rank, just kind of seeing how the system ends up settling once a good majority of the player base does, or at least more than 0, because currently it's possible to be diamond rank at this moment in time. But anyways, as far as PvP is concerned, you still want to hit your 6.5k every single week. VP actually tracks 2 numbers. You have your permanent VP, which is associated to Season 0. We're eventually going to be having seasons for PvP. What exactly your total number will do for that, we don't currently know. We're currently on Season 0, which is likely to do, you know, nothing with your total. But as you can see, this number was much higher than my other one, because it takes into account all of the VP we've earned over the last month or couple months, or however long they're making a season. And then maybe at the end you get something, we don't really know, because we're on Season 0 currently. So until they implement that, we won't really have a proper season system. But that'll probably be implemented sometime early next year, as they would pretty much have to within one of the first 2 patches of the year, most likely. Probably the second patch if I had to guess, but we'll find out then. Anyways, but that's your bigger number. The thing that the bigger number is for is hitting thresholds for actually buying things. For example, 20,000 so you can get the deed books, or if you want to, 80,000 in order to get the shiny keys. So you don't have just 1 week to end up getting it. You have at least 4. I'm not sure exactly how long they're going to make a season. If I had to guess, it's going to be either a month or a few months. So if it is a month, that's still pretty doable. And if it's a few months, that's pretty much free. Not literally free, but, you know, as far as getting 80,000 points, not too bad if you have like 3 months to do so. Whereas a little bit tighter if you have to do it in a month, and super tight if you have to do it within a single week, which I thought initially, but no, you actually have at least a month to go and get that many points. However, that's not your total, or that is your total VP. That's not your weekly VP, though. Weekly VP still determines a lot of things. For example, you still need to get 6,500 every single week, so you can claim your 80 gold medals and 100 silver. Really good value, especially for how much time it takes. Definitely end up doing it. Especially because it's one of the only free ways to really get gold medals right now without making leaderboards. The other thing, speaking of leaderboards, you have your 30 bracket thingy. It seems to be a little bit skewed right now in who it chooses for you to fight. I am up against a lot of people pretty much just barely above level 1,000, it would seem. And I'm surprised how few people have actually seen do fights here either. We've only seen 4 people so far. And of course, because they're all relatively lower level, we do end up getting a really high score. Because generally speaking, you know, the average person on leaderboard who's going to be like super competition, they're generally a very high level. Not always, but generally speaking, like the average level here is like 1,700. So if the system's currently putting us against level 1,000s, this should on average make it quite a bit easier. But we'll see what happens once we get to the highest rank. We're still 4 ranks away. I believe it goes all the way up to Diamond. If I had to guess, next one's like probably what, Emerald or something? Or dang it, we were just in Emerald. Oh no, Ruby. Some kind of gemstone. But of course, as you go up, the amount of reward you get here also goes up. The other thing that goes up is your 2 other things as your rank goes up. One of them is your mail. So if I go over to collected rewards, please be high up here. Okay, I might not be able to see it. Here we go. As you can see right here, I'm getting 6 silver marks per week. When we were in Emerald, we were getting 5 per, or sorry, not per week, per day. And at the highest rank, you would actually get 10 silver marks per day for simply just maintaining diamond rank. So, yeah, this is a little bit per day. Obviously not too much. It works pretty similar to how the old glory system ended up working. Pretty much everything about silver marks is. But the other thing that it ends up doing is it increases the amount of silver marks you get whenever you get silver marks, basically by 1. So pretty much every instance you get silver marks, it increases by 1. So right over here, in the Central Spire, last week we were getting 10. Now it's 11. And all the way at max rank, it'll be 15. And similarly, if we could find wherever our other one is, this one, of course, also moved up by 1. Wherever it's hiding currently. Right over there, Strix. Hey, why did I do that one? That was the easy one. But, we have a Strix over here. Was 20 last week, is 21 now. And by the end of it all, once we hit the highest rank, middle will be 15. The inner ring will be 20 for the colored ones. And the outer will be 25 as we get those ranks up. So the higher it goes, the more of the silver thingies you can end up getting. As far as what we're able to use them on, unfortunately, still pretty much the same. We haven't really gotten any more info in any regard. This is still way too overpriced. I'm still hoarding all my golds and not spending it on the pets. I'm not even spending it on the good thing yet, which is random deed book. As tempting as it is to click that, I do kind of want to wait to see what the pet situation fully is over the next couple weeks, possibly even a couple months, just to say. And then we'll go dump them all into either deed books or the pets if it turns out there's literally going to be no other way to get them, but we'll find out in time. Anyways, I think it's about time to go over some teams. So let's start all the way from the top. No, I did not want to go to PvP. Get me out of here. All right, let's... Oh, wait, actually, I was trying to go there to get to teams. Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Whenever I would normally show teams in the video, I did think about that because this is actually the first weekly video where this has been applicable. But normally the way I would get to show teams for the thing is I would click on PvP and then click over to the thing. I guess I just have to click on collection. Sure, fine, we'll do it this way. Honestly, this way is probably easier. However, out of habit, I've always clicked on PvP and then that brings you to the PvP menu, but it doesn't do that anymore. Anyways, let's go over all the teams. We have a little over a dozen, 10, somewhere around there. They'll all be in the description below. Goes over PvP teams, go over pretty much everything for the entire week. So, as far as invasion is concerned, they're both actually very similar. We're just using the guy that has extra magic and is the one main guy giving you the points. Keep in mind, if he does die, you do still get double points. Your team just has to start with it. He doesn't have to end with it. Then we're using the other invasion troop. Same premise as the other one, except he doesn't have double magic. You could double up on the other one if you really want to, but it does require going at least one deeper tier than you would have to begin with. So it does cost a little bit more gems, at least 250. So if you don't want to do that, simply just use the old guy and you'll be fine. Or even just something else in general. Flame Troll, we're just using this to double the red. Everything else in our team is using red, so doubling red doesn't hurt. And then Dawnbringer, Wand of Stars. Wand of Stars, we're mostly just doing this for mana accumulation. Pretty flexible what you can end up putting here. So much so that we even replaced it out for the cheaper team, of course. But Wand of Stars is really great for mana accumulation if you need Bless, if you need Curse for whatever reason. Just ends up working out pretty well. Next, we have ourselves the cheaper invasion team, which might look pretty similar. All we did was replace out the Enor Mace. Enor Mace you pretty much get for free this week, and by free I mean 210 gems. But I do advise doing so because it's pretty much everything you'll need to finish out the invasion event. You also get 65 gems back from the invasion event anyway, so spending 210 on it is even as bad as some of the other ones. Not that 210 is even a lot of gems, but you get pretty much a third of it refunded just from the 65 gems you get from the mode anyways, plus an orb, plus all the other loot. So, yeah, I would definitely end up going for it. Obviously, you would also get the Georgian along the way. If you have one of these old guys or got it just from opening some keys this week, you can end up doing that. And by that, actually, you would mostly get this from if you opened up the... Not from event keys, but if you buy the tiers in the actual shop, the invasion shop, up to tier 3, you do have several rolls to try to land on, you know, a random giant. And, of course, he can be one of those random giants, so if you don't have him yet, hopefully you'll get him from there. Otherwise, it's glory and gem or guild keys to try to get them. And yeah, same premise of the team, just a bit cheaper on the weapon. Next, we have Frostfire Keep. It is a blue-yellow restriction. Obviously, I personally just went with Guard's Avatar for the lower build. However, if you need a low rarity build, I literally just put an Ingress team here. Because why not? Obviously, the scales all the way if you really want to. You get a lot of magic, 8 magic every single time you take an extra turn. Scales very quickly. You cattle to get everything going. Egress to auto-win. And that's pretty much the game plan. You might want to double up on Egress if you want to play it a little bit safer, but it will slow down your team. But at the super late fights where they might be able to 2-shot you or something similar, or 3-shot you, depending on what your stats are, or if it wants to trigger Agile or not, you might want to consider a second Egress. But otherwise, you should be fine with this team for most of the time. It does slow down as it goes like super, super high, which case you might want to go to like an insta-kill team or something. But honestly, it should be fine for most of the time, and you could get away with it. It has infinite loop, so it technically has infinite damage. It's more so just applying the damage. As far as pure faction to consider, since it is Frostfire Keep, it is pretty straightforward. You just run for this guy. He has 65% reduction, making him one of the lowest rarity tanks in the entire game, and it's pretty good. He steals a bunch of life from the first enemy. Unfortunately, it's first enemy, but it is steal, which means it gains the life. Not only does it do true damage to your enemy, but it also heals you by that amount. And it's also boosted by Frozen and Burning Gems, which in the context of this team doesn't really do much, unfortunately. But generally speaking, sometimes it gets a little bit extra boost ratio. But basically, you're just running 1 billion of him, so you can tank it out. And as long as you have at least 2 of these going into your final fight, you should be fine. If you have all 4, it should be ridiculously easy. Next, we have ourselves the Titan class event. It's just Dawnbringer to triple Zephyros. I saw a pretty similar team when we were running the invasions earlier, just replacing out the guy that doubles your points, of course, all the way in last slot. It's just a quick kill team for this kind of restriction when you're under like giant or giant Stormheim restriction, which is this Thursday. It's just kind of a thing that kills a little bit quick. We have Airlink. He has a little bit extra damage for cleanup, using Dawnbringer as a main damage source. Even if you don't have Dawnbringer, you can use Dancing Daggers, which is that weapon from 250 wins on the Leonis Empire hero class, the not Deathbringer, the what's his name? The Dervish. But you get 250 wins on Dervish, you get that one yellow weapon that hits all enemies, and you could use that as a Dawnbringer alternative. Dawnbringer is a bit better, but if you don't have it, you just go straight into that free weapon. Anyways, next we have the holiday teams for the more expensive team. Like, once again, both of these actually pretty similar. Essentially Truffle Loop teams. We're using Truffle to infinitely loop off of blue. Also, I just realized this Springer's not... oh, no! I didn't actually use it for the thing. I was just like, oh, it'll work. Well, you can still use Dawnbringer or something. It'll be fine. Let's put a Dawnbringer there. It doesn't get fed from the other thing, but you're eventually still going to get mana for it. Here, have a Dawnbringer. I just realized that now. I was like, wait, that's not blue. Because this actually is a mode where it is, your weapon is restricted. Like, some modes aren't. It's really weird which ones are and aren't these days. I wonder if they're ever going to make it uniform. But for example, well, I didn't actually do it off weapon. This one actually is a valid colored weapon. But you're allowed to use, like, any colored weapon for, let's say, Underworld, for example. They don't have, like, a color restriction. Like, your whole team has to be color restricted, but your weapon can still be anything. But then there's modes like the Holiday event where both your weapon and your team has to coincide to the color. But anyways, it is basically just Truffle Loop. We ended up doing it on the cheaper team here. It is literally just standard Truffle Loop. It's just Forest Troll, Double Truffle, King, and then Mirage Queen. The only reason you'd really end up setting anything that is not that is because you want to have Hero as Warden for Dispel and Greenstorm. Greenstorm makes it more likely that you'll get the loop, and the Dispel makes it so in case there's any Submerge, which I don't think there is, but there might be some here and there. Just have a precaution for it, ends up being just nice. Having that backup Dispel, because that's like the whole reason for running this. This is the only current hero class that has both Greenstorm and Banishment off of extra turn, so you can end up using that. But yeah, it's basically just Truffle Loop. Forest Troll, Double Truffle into Mirage Queen, 50% mana start on all of them. Forest Troll feeds green into Truffles, Truffles feed brown into that. You just keep looping over and over again off extra turn. Chip damage them down, you win. Same thing can be applied for the blue Underspire or Underworld or PvP as well. Which I think I even showed similar team would actually run. Wait, what did I run for the cheap? Oh, I didn't actually run a cheaper team. You know why? Because this is the cheaper team. So I didn't actually show a cheaper team for it. And same as Purple. Purple was literally just Thrall Leprechaun into anything in the middle. But yeah, this actually is also the cheaper team for PvP. So if you're looking for the PvP blue team, well, there you go. There's also the PvP blue team. But then we have these two over here. The Wand into Beatrix and just kind of running like an anti-team with Grey King. Because I really wanted to try using Grey King. It's kind of funny because I don't really use much of the book teams, which would be pretty good on the pure colors. But I really wanted to try Grey King, and it's actually been working out pretty well. And then, of course, the purple one. And if you don't have Wand into Diamantina, which you might not, this could be replaced with anything. Just any two things that can hit all enemies, whatever your good damage source is in under purple, you just put them there. Otherwise, the team premise is the same. Thrall Leprechaun for mana accumulation, two things in the middle for damage. You could put another mana accumulator if you have a really good damage source, but ideally both of these would be anything that does damage to all enemies. I just happen to not have it that way because Diamantina is already all the damage we need. Anyways, let's go do those two battles, I guess, real quick then. So, oh yeah, also we have this calendar going on, by the way. Almost forgot to mention this. We get a free reward on Christmas and on New Year's Day. So in a week and another week, we'll have those two little things. And of course, there's a bunch of other things that you can get throughout the time with money. However, most of them are very pointless and not worth it. So just wait for the little bit of free ones. I think it's like 50 gems with some trait stones and such. Anyways, let's do two PvP fights. So I'm not going to be doing a separate video this time because it looks like only the inner ring got reset. I was expecting every single one of them to. And even of the inner ring, only 2 of the 3 did. Yellow is still the same thing as last week. So if you haven't already seen it, at the end of this video, there is the full teams for all of the PvPs. So basically everything that isn't blue or purple, as those are only 2 that actually changed this week. So if you want to go check that out, that includes all the other teams. But anyways, let's go over blue and purple real quick just to kind of mess around with them, since we haven't been able to up to this point. So, oh gosh, a Scion. Should we even need to worry about it? Probably not. But anyways, so let's go mess with this team. The other alternative, of course, as we mentioned, for the cheaper team is the Truffle Infinite Loop. Works very similar to Beatrix, just without the cleanse, but you're probably not going to need it, especially against the kind of teams we have right now. We don't really have actual proper player teams yet, so don't really need to worry about that. But we just kind of get everything rolling. Throw down some Beatrixes once we can start getting it going. Of course, Beatrix having a 100% chance to miss as it normally does. Good job, Beatrix. Ideally, keep looping that until you end up winning, or pretty close. Get into kill range, target blue, take them all out. Actually, probably could have done that even the previous turn. And that's all we pretty much have to do. We have the other guy for Empower and for Curse if we really needed it, but probably not that needed. Anyway, got the thing for Tesla, which is kind of funny because she still doesn't use magic, but she does use that armor. Speaking of which, you can also run Teslas for this if you really want to. Wow, 90. Why is it whenever I'm looking for these, I can never find them? But when I'm not looking for them, like every single battle is like over 100 points. Because I saw this earlier when I was messing around with one of the teams. And then ended up resetting when I went in and out of the menu. So I guess there's ways to cheese it as well to get higher battles. Because I've noticed some people are averaging over like 100 points per battle. I'm like, wait, how are they doing that? But yeah, it seems pretty easy to reset it. I'm not sure every condition that does end up resetting it. But it does not seem that hard to reset your teams without spending any gems. At least in the current state of the game. That'll probably be tweaked at a later point. Alright, that was a little bit short of full damage, but we just do it one more time and we're good to go. And that's all you need to do. Next, we have ourselves, like right there, we got 116. Not bad. Anyways, let's go do the other one. So, of course, we have purple. Purple, pretty flexible. Throughout Leprechaun, you have access to pretty much everything in the game at that point, as far as what you can put in between. As long as it has purple, you have access to every single damage source there. It's pretty flexible what you can end up putting there. Really just depends on what you have and what you feel like running. In this case, I just wanted to run Diamantina, so we're running Diamantina. But of course, you can downgrade that to as low as like Atlanta, which you get for free from Divinian Fields. I would love if you stopped missing, though. That would be nice. Alright, we'll take that over. Get our Thrall. Thrall can die. Losing troops here doesn't really matter at all. So him dying will be a worthy sacrifice for the team. And then let's get one more Diamantine and we should be good to go. I almost feel like using Stellarix here. But we can't end up doing the Daughter of Time if we do is the only problem. Like, you can't Daughter of Time into Stellarix. I guess we could technically use that one Timekeeper guy, Kronos, that ended up coming in. Oh no, I still haven't been that big of a fan of Kronos, but I guess we could kind of slot him in there. Thrall, Kronos, Diamantina, or sorry, not Diamantina, Stellarix, and Leprechaun, which would be even a more expensive team than this. However, there's another angle to end up going with it. I just went with Wand, so we have Cleanse, so we have Curse, everything like that. More so Cleanse, obviously. Just to make sure we don't get frozen, entangled, silenced, any other random annoying effect. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for now. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. All the teams that we went over for all the PvP teams are in that other video. Since there's only 2 that changed, we only really had to go over 2. Whereas next week we might have to go over it in a separate video because somewhere around 5 of them will probably change, which is a bit too many to probably cover in the Monday video, especially if we're going to do each one of the battles, as it would just make the video so long by that point. But anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed holidays. If any of the videos or anything are a little bit later this week, or even our streams, it's mostly due to holiday stuff, either prepping for it, or in the case of some of the days, like, next Monday, it is literally Christmas Day, so as things are a little bit later by a day or so, that is why, if you're wondering. Mostly just due to the holidays. But anyways, guys, enjoy the holidays. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And catch you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for watching.